Hello friends, and welcome to this video. In this segment, we'll explore the Corona OW map and its features. We've set up a scene featuring a Corona sun, a wall to diffuse light, an asphalt road, a water gutter, and a sidewalk, all designed using floor generator. The camera remains at its default settings. Finally, we've added a hydrant model to the scene. Our focus will be on applying the Corona OW map to the hydrant to achieve an effect similar to this reference image. Notice the two-tone shading that highlights crevices and protrusions. This is primarily influenced by the bump map. The wear and fading effects are evident, showcasing the OW map's impact. Since this video is getting long, I'll record the Vray dirt part as a second part for you. Now, let's enter the material editor. Allow me to zoom in. This is the wall material. You can observe its properties. This is the sidewalk material, which includes an AO map to darken its corners. Here's the asphalt material. And this is the water gutter material, which also utilizes an AO map. This is the HDR material assigned to the environment. I've applied a color correction to brighten it. To access this environment, press the 8 key, and assign the material to the map as an instance. Now, this is the material assigned to the hydrant. I've imported a dirt map and applied a color correction to it based on the parameters you're seeing. This was then connected to the accolade. Additionally, a Corona color with this red hue was also connected to the accolade. I've assigned a procedural Voronoi map to both the bump slot and this legacy map. Moving on to the Corona legacy material, let's examine the features applied. The IOR is set to 2.5. The other settings are visible here. We'll construct this material shortly. This is a dirt map that I'm using as a mask in the Corona layered MTL. As you can see, I'm assigning this material to layer 1 and the upper material to the base. Finally, I apply the Corona layered MTL to our object. Before all these steps, let's first examine the OW parameters. So, I bring in a Corona OW map and a Corona legacy MTL. I assign this material to the hydrant. As you can see, its color has turned white. It's better to provide some explanations about the OW parameters. Occluded color is the color applied to the corners. Unoccluded color is the object's main color. Max distance defines the radius of the occlusion. All three can also accept maps. Color spread controls the sharpness of the occlusion. Quality determines the rendering quality. I left it at the default setting due to render time. The Use Legacy Color Spread option removes the gradient shadow effect. Leaving it unchecked results in a more natural look. Calculate From has three modes: inside, outside, and inside plus outside. Ray directionality specifies the direction of the rays. The next option allows you to adjust the direction along the width, length, and height. Get Occluded From specifies where this effect should be applied. To make it clearer, I want to set the occluded color to red. I'll reduce the max distance to 3. Now, I'll lower the quality slightly to speed up the render and perform an interactive render. As you can see, the areas around intersections, seams, and naturally shadowed spots have turned red. Observe the upper parts and indentations as well. That's sufficient. I'll stop the render. Returning to the material editor, I'll set the max distance to 20. And the color spread to 1. However, since it can't exceed 1, I'll set it to 0.1. Now, I'll perform another interactive render. With these adjustments, you can see that the occlusion radius has increased, and the seams appear sharper and more pronounced. I'll stop the render now. Returning to the material editor, I'll set the max distance to 5 and increase the color spread to its maximum value of 1. Now, I'll initiate another render. As you can see, the sharpness level is now clearly defined. I think you've understood the concept of color spread. The seams have turned completely red. Alright, I'll stop the render. I won't change the quality settings since I mentioned it would increase the render time. I'll set calculate from to inside, and start the interactive render again. If you pay attention, the seams facing inward have turned red, which is directly related to the max distance value. I'll stop the render and return to the material editor. Now, I'll set it to outside and render again so you can see the difference. As you can see, the seams are now turning red outward according to the max distance value, which I set to 5. I'll return to the material editor. Activate the Use Legacy Color Spread option, and set Calculate from back to inside plus outside. Although I set a low value for max distance, it doesn't make much difference. You can test it yourself, but it's not a very useful option. I'll go back to the material editor. I'll disable the Use Legacy option. I bring in the dirty map, and want to assign it instead of the color. I set the color spread intensity to the maximum level. I want you to see how much sharper it becomes. Notice that I assigned it to occluded. Now you have a better understanding of how dirt is applied to materials. The white areas are due to the map pattern. I stop the render and go back to the material editor. Now, I connect the procedural map to color correction and then to OW. Here are the settings I changed in color correction for you to see. In OW, I changed the color spread to 0.8. I also bring in the red Corona color and connect it to Unicluded. I will make changes to the reflection of this material later. Let's go for the render. The worn-out effect is somewhat visible, creating a two-tone look. I stop the render. In the Maps section under General, I search for the Pro Voronoi map and bring it into the scene. I connect it to the bump. What value should I set for testing? I'll set it to 1.5. Now I'll create the second material. I bring in a Corona Legacy and immediately connect the bump map to it. I set the IOR to 2.5 to give it a metallic look. I increase the reflect to the maximum and set the glossiness to 0.7. I also maximize the reflect of the first material and set its glossiness to 0.7. I'd better check the value I gave in the previous material since I've done many tests with it, and it's better to follow the same pattern. Oh, the first one has a glossiness of 0.65. The second material's glossiness is 0.55. I'll also check the color of this material. I'll assign the same one to my second material. I make the necessary changes to the glossiness for both materials. Before I forget, I'll set the bump value of both materials to 2.5 at the bottom of the material settings. Now, I'll bring in the Corona Layered MTL. Connect the first material to the base material, and the second material to layer 1. I assign this material to the object. For now, I won't assign a mask. I'll start the interactive render. If you notice, it's mostly taking the pattern from the second material assigned to layer 1. The bump value is quite high, so I'll reduce the size from the Pro Voronoi map. I'll stop the render and go back to the material editor. Reducing the size of Pro Voronoi seems better. Let me check if the size 0.15 is correct. Yes, it is 0.15. Now, I'll bring in the mask to show you the importance of this step. I'll copy it and replace my main material with it. Then connect it to mask 1. Check out the changes in the color correction as well. Let's start the render again. Alright, it almost looks like the reference image I showed you at the beginning of the video. The mask's impact can be significant, creating color fading, dual tones, and signs of wear. Now that I've reached the final result, let's move on to the final render. I'll increase the quality to Full HD. Switching to the camera and starting the render. I'll speed up the video to make the process faster. A quick note about Vray dirt. It differs from Corona Ambient, and it might not look exactly like this render, but you can still create dirt effects with it in a different way. Let's take a closer look. The bump amount looks good and is noticeable. Other features also look fine. The wear and tear also appear satisfactory. My goal was to introduce you to the OW map, and now you can use your creativity to apply it to different objects and scenarios. That's good enough. I'll stop here. Let's also take a quick look at the owl on the sidewalk to see what's happened. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next part, where we'll be exploring Vray dirt. Until the next video, goodbye.